The total value for my entire Xbox 360 collection is...
Retro Ghetto.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Retro Ghetto. So as you can see, there's a CEX behind me. That's where we are headed, and I've got a very clear defined plan for once in terms of what games I'm after. So we're going to be looking at 360, but I'm going to be specifically looking at games that I've never heard of, games I've never seen before. The 360 library is so vast that there's still a lot of games I'm unaware of, and quite often they're the uncommon ones. They're the ones that there aren't many in stock of, and they're the ones that are going to go through the roof. The way 360 pricing is going right now, I want to unearth some hidden gems, pick up these games while they're still affordable, and yeah, that's very much the plan. So let's go in and see what we can find.
Okay, so before I show you guys the first few games that I picked up from this hunt, I just want to make you aware that I've spent the last couple of days trawling through my entire Xbox 360 collection, and I've been individually pricing it all up. So at the very end of this video, I'm going to make you guys aware as to the value of my entire collection. The reason being is, as I before mentioned at the beginning of this video, Xbox 360 collecting and values are at an all-time high, and a lot of people debate whether that's going to crash once people get over the fact that the Xbox store is going to close, or whether that's going to continue to keep increasing going forwards as so many systems have done before. So I think it's definitely going to be an interesting time to take a look at that complete value, and as I say, we can maybe reevaluate it down the line and see how that increases or decreases over time. However, getting back to the matter at hand, and the first game that I picked up here is a lower value one. I think I should make you guys aware I'm going to do this in ascending order. So we're going to start with the cheaper ones, and hopefully it'll get more exciting as it goes on. But the first one I want to talk about is Turning Point Fall of Liberty. So as I say, we're starting the bar pretty low with this one. This one came in at just £1. This is a 2008 first-person shooter developed by Spark Unlimited. The game takes place in an alternate history in which Winston Churchill dies in 1931, 8 years before the start of World War II. The game explores what could have happened without his leadership and with the UK subdued by Nazi Germany in 1940. These games really interest me. I always like that spin on real events, but with a twist. How small pieces of history, how they could potentially have changed the world going forwards, and there's no better example of that than this game. The game goes on to explore how the US is infected with an anti-war sentiment, and it does not get involved overseas. The game actually takes place with the German invasion and occupation of the east coast of the United States in 1953. The other thing that I find really interesting about this game is you're not your sort of standard run-of-the-mill military personnel alpha male that's there to protect Mother America. You actually play just a normal guy by the name of Dan Carson. Just an average New Yorker who isn't tasked with helping the Allies win the war, but merely to survive in an environment of total war. Of all the games that I'm going to look at today, this one has the most copies in stock. I think it's got around 20, so not a particularly rare one, and by my own video rules, this probably breaks that. But by the fact that it was just £1, and yeah, it seemed very interesting to me. As soon as I picked it up and had a quick look at this on my phone in store, I figured this would be a game worth sharing with you guys, worth taking a look at, and yeah, you can't really go too far wrong for £1, right? Well, the reviews on it say you can. But I would say if I've learned anything from years of game collecting, it's to make your own mind up about games and ignore some of the reviews. And yeah, we're raising the bar slightly here, not too much more, let me tell you, but the games do get better, I promise. This one came in at just £2, and that is Le Tour de France 2012. 2011, 12, 13 and 14 all got Tour de France releases, gradually getting less common. The 2014 variant has got just one copy currently in stock at time of recording. Quite interesting that they made a 2013 and a 2014, because 2012, I believe, was the year that the Lance Armstrong scandal broke. So it's interesting as to whether they were going to end it there or if they were going to sort of pursue it with that notoriety, because it probably was, cycling never been in the press as much as it was at that time, right? But yeah, these games are what you would imagine them to be. They are very much cycling games, very much strategic. You'll be seeing on screen now, it's not just a case of like the old track and field games where you just press the buttons as fast as you can and you go as fast as you can. You obviously have to conserve your energy levels, etc., and sort of like race. And there's quite a lot of strategy to this one. I don't profess to be an expert when it comes to cycling or anything like that, but yeah, definitely an interesting one. And like I say, these are well worth keeping a lookout for if you see them in your local, because as I say, these seem to get rarer as the series goes on, and if you are going for a full set or you want those more obscure Xbox 360 games, these are definitely worth picking up should you come across them in person. And then I also want to take a look at this next game, and this one is definitely more interesting than the previous two. This is one which I'm going to be playing quite soon, because the whole sort of like theory around it really intrigues me, and that is Damnation. One that I very rarely see, and with just 7 copies in stock, that'll be why. It's a 2009 steampunk third-person shooter, once again set in an alternate history version of the United States, this time though during the Civil War, which stretches over several decades. Highly advanced steampunk technology spearheads the great technological advancement instead of combustion engines, which results in highly advanced tech like steam-powered vehicles, war machines and robots. Not only does it sound very interesting, but the cover art is what caught my eye. It's absolutely stunning. Love the artwork on this one. And yeah, again, not the most favourable reviews, but let me know in the comment section if you've played this one and what you think of it, because I value your opinion at this point more than IGN back in 2008. So 3, shall we say, modest games in, but I am far from done with this game hunt.
Well, there's some real good games. I chose the right store to do this in. Some real, like, obscure, uncommon 360 titles in here. So yeah, it's going very well, but not for my bank balance.
So as you've seen from the footage, some really interesting titles on the shelves, and sadly a couple of them weren't quite where I wanted them to be in terms of condition, one of which was actually an NTSC game. I don't know how that slipped through the net and made its way onto the CEX shelves, but generally speaking, I was really impressed with the Sutton and Ashfield store. Not only the 360 area, but the whole store wide. There were some really interesting titles, some steelbooks, sleeve covers, and yeah, big shout out to that branch for ultimately making this video a lot easier and more interesting for me. But the first game that I want to highlight from this bunch is Dark Messiah, Might and Magic Elements. We've now increased from £5 to £6. This one has 12 copies in stock, and it's just one that I've never noticed sat on the shelves before. This is a first-person action RPG developed by Arcane Studios. This series goes way back to 1986, but this iteration of Might and Magic was released in 2008. You play as Sareth, a wizard's apprentice who is sent to the city of Stonehill to help retrieve an artifact known as the Skull of Shadows. This is one of them games which is very polarizing. I did a quick look at this, looked at some of the gameplay, which to me looks very interesting, almost like a slightly maybe lesser iteration of like a Skyrim, shall we say, very fantasy first-person game. But some of the reviews ranged from 3.5, I think IGN gave it that, right up to I think what GameSpot gave it an 8. So yeah, huge sort of like variation in what reviewers thought of this one. So yeah, really intrigued to find out a bit more about this one. Never really delved into the Might and Magic franchise before, but once again, it was very much the box art that pulled me in, and also the stills on the back of this game look stunning. It looks very much like a budget Skyrim, shall we say. Very fantasy first-person game, and one that I'm actually very intrigued by. I've never delved into the Might and Magic franchise, which, as I say, has a long history. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting one to add to my collection. And then we take it to a series of which I've got quite a long-standing history with. I've spent many hours trawling the internet to try and add iterations of this game to some of my subsets. I'm mostly looking at you, Nintendo Wii U. And that is Cabela's Alaskan Adventures. So now we're getting to the rarer titles. There's just 4 copies of this 2006 hunting game in stock currently. This features 12 different maps across Alaska and the Arctic, and as well as luring and hunting big game such as bears, coyotes and wolverine. Players can also do a spot of ice fishing, and like I say, this is one of them games that I know all too well. The gameplay, the loop. I actually tried this out on the Wii U. I played this one simply because it took me a lot of time and a lot of money to add it to my Wii U full PAL set. So yeah, well versed in the art of rare Cabela games, and yeah, you've got to give it to them, right? They pump out these games. There's loads of them, especially in this era of gaming. But what can I say? It's a hunting game. It's not really my cup of tea, but yeah, an interesting title nonetheless. But this next one epitomizes what this video is all about. Cheap, never seen it before, very few copies in stock. I think there's just 5. This is Universe at War. A real-time strategy game developed by Petroglyph and published by Sega. Originally a PC release, this was ported to the Xbox 360 as a console exclusive in 2008. Set in the then future of 2012, which is bizarre to me, because if you look at the footage of the gameplay, there's sort of real futuristic guns like lasers and stuff. I mean, this was only 4 years in advance of when this game was released. I don't know what they thought was going to happen from 28 to 2012, but thankfully 2012 didn't look like this. But yeah, the story sees an alien invasion. The aliens plan to strip mine the planet and mankind are unable to stop them. But just before they're able to take Washington DC, a race of machines, an enemy of the aliens, arrives, and that allows the US military to take its foothold and make its final stand. As I say, this is a real-time strategy game. It's not necessarily a game that I put a lot of time into, but I'm just really curious because I'd never seen it before. Once again, the box art sold me, as well as that Sega logo, not gonna lie, and that's what I love about doing this. That's what I love about this challenge, just picking up games that I know nothing about, and that's the beauty of this console, the beauty of this generation, right? PS3, 360, Nintendo Wii. It wasn't like nowadays where you're getting drip fed every now and again, a PS5 release. There were so many games, we had an abundance of games coming out all the time. They didn't have to be AAA. So much so that to this day, I'm still picking up games off shelves that I'd never heard about, and videos like this allow me to learn about them, and hopefully you guys will enjoy sort of taking a look at some different games as well. So yeah, wherever this is my gameplay loop or not, I just find it fascinating looking at games like this because it's very much a token of yesteryear now, right? We just don't really get these lower budget games anymore. So, but yeah, another interesting title to add to the 360 collection. But yeah, we're still not done. There's more games on those shelves.
Well, I have to say, I love it when a plan comes together. We've got a bag full of 360 games, and yeah, some of which I'm really excited to sort of do some research into, look at the gameplay and discuss with you guys. So let's get back to the 3.0 and take a look.
Retro Ghetto.
Right, okay, so the last couple of games of which I picked up on that hunt now before we look at the full value of my 360 collection in its entirety. And I want to kick it off with a game which, unlike a lot of the others mentioned in this video, I have heard of the franchise before. There's many of these releases, but I've never seen this specific title, and that is Warriors Orochi 3. It's no real surprise that I hadn't seen this game before. There are just 8 copies of this one in stock nationwide, and all the Warriors Orochi games seem somewhat in common. Warriors Orochi 2 in particular is very rare on the shelves. And the Warriors Orochi games are crossover games, so they're featuring the worlds of both Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. And these are hack and slash games where you basically take on hordes of enemies. This particular one, the third entry in the series, was released in 2011, and I think this is one of them which is guaranteed to go up over time. I don't envisage that any of the Warriors Orochi games are going to stay or dip in price to what they currently are, just simply because it is quite a beloved franchise. People really enjoy the Warriors style of games, and they all seem to be uncommon. So yeah, once again, if you ever see any of the Warriors Orochi games while you're out and about, make sure you pick them up, especially if you are going for a full set of 360 games. And that takes me to the final game. So the joint most expensive with Warriors Orochi at £10, but definitely the most uncommon. I think there's currently one of these in stock now at CEX after I purchased this one. I almost didn't buy this one simply because there was no manual and the case itself was quite badly damaged. So I thought, let me just take a look on eBay, and if I can buy this for the same price or slightly cheaper, I'll just buy it via that method. However, I then realised just how rare this game was because there was none on eBay, certainly not PAL copies. So I thought I'd best grab this one anyway, with or without the manual. And that is Cabela's African Safari. So as promised, I saved the most expensive and the rarest game for last. This cost me £10, just one copy now left in stock. And what can I say? It's basically just like Alaskan Cabela's, but this time it's in Africa. And it's even rarer than the previous entry. So yeah, I'm just noticing now as well, the front cover. I mean, there's a lot going on here. There's a rhino, there's a guy about to shoot the rhino with a shotgun. I'm not sure that would be your preferred weapon of choice against the rhino, and I would say an unfortunate incident that's happening, but if he's hunting that rhino, then maybe it's a bit of a payback, right? But yes, so I bought a total of 8 games and they cost me £50. And let me know what you think of the purchases. I'd love to know if you guys have played any of the 8 titles that I've picked up today. And like I say, maybe there's some hidden gems in here, maybe they're all stinkers, but I just love doing things like this. So let me know if you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you've enjoyed looking at games that you don't see very often, or maybe you've learnt about some new games that you're previously unaware of, as I am. And if you do want to see me do this again, let me know via the like button, because I'll happily go out to a different CEX and do this again, because I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed looking into these rarer, more obscure titles. And yeah, it's good to look at good games, but I think by this point we've all seen the great games, right? There's only so much you can say about them. So I've really enjoyed doing this and deep diving into it. And speaking of deep diving, let's deep dive now into my entire Xbox 360 collection, shall we? And like I've already said in this video, I absolutely love collecting for this. This is fast becoming my favourite system to collect for. Whilst obviously my heart, my passion is with retro and Super Nintendo, just the vast amount of games that are out there, still at affordable prices, even though prices are at an all-time high. Yeah, I just absolutely love going out, hunting for this, finding games that I never knew before, finding collector's edition steelbook sleeve covers, which I never knew existed until the day on which I find them. And it's become a real passion for me, and I think we might have to extend the Xbox 360 area somehow in this room. And yeah, it's, like I say, it just felt like a good time to take a look at the value of this system. I aforementioned how I want to look in the future back at this and see whether the values have gone up and down. Well, we can actually do that, because 2 years ago I made a series of videos looking at how much CEX would give me for different sections of my collections, and I also took a look at how much CEX sell it for. So yeah, approximately 2 years ago, CEX were offering me £539 for my entire Xbox 360 collection. Now, it must be said that not only have Xbox 360 prices greatly increased since then, but also the size and scale of my collection has increased massively since then. And yeah, it's quite shocking the disparity between then and what the collection is now worth 2 years later. So the total value for my entire Xbox 360 collection is £4,361.50. So yeah, quite the increase from where it was. Almost £4,000 markup from where we were 2 years ago, right? And to be honest, I think that's a relatively deflated price, simply because I priced this entirely on what CEX sell these games for. Now, a lot of these games are rare sleeve covers, steelbooks, things that would sell for considerably more on eBay, but CEX don't have them individually listed on their database, so they just got priced as a standard copy of the game. Also, there's a lot of games here which aren't in stock, which are going for much more on eBay. The same can be said with a lot of the collector's editions and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I'd easily estimate that you're probably looking at over £5,000 in terms of real world value of my 360 collection. And it's crazy that it's gone up that much in recent months, right? Because there was a time, probably just a year, 18 months ago, where you wouldn't have believed that it would be of that value. But for me, it's getting to where it deserves to be, because for me it's one of the greatest systems of all time. I absolutely love it for the reasons that I keep mentioning in this video. So once again, if you've enjoyed this one, let me know via the like button so I know wherever you want to see me do this again, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm itching to go and do it again. I've really enjoyed this, so let me know if you have as well. But as always, play your games, keep it retro. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in a bit, take care.
And my plan is to go through all the 360 games and basically go through the games that I've never seen before. You alright, lads? We're going to go for all the 360 games.
Lock into the retro ghetto. Come and have a look around the ghetto. We got Sonic and Staples settle. Lock into the retro ghetto.